It's such a great pleasure to welcome Neil Colquhoun, who's the president of Epson META and CW Asia. Neil, it's wonderful to have you and to chat to you. And I know we were chatting a little bit of football in Scotland, the magnificent rugby team, and you support Sunderland, which is wonderful. Welcome to you. How are you doing?
Yeah, well, first, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm great, and it's a pleasure to be in South Africa. It's my 30th anniversary. I first came in 1996. Stayed with some relations in Hout Bay, went to Cape Town. So, and I've been coming regularly ever since for business and also holidays. So, I love this country. I love the people. So, yeah, pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you for coming back all these times. It's wonderful to have you. You're the president of Epson for the META-CWA Asia region. So you're basically seeing the dynamic Middle East. You're seeing Turkey. You're seeing Africa, Central and West Asia. So it's a pretty big region. You're headquartered in Dubai. Obviously, notwithstanding all the geopolitical tensions that are happening that are going to, hopefully blow over very soon, it's an incredible region that you oversee. And it's an exciting region that you've seen tremendous growth over the last, few decades.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you kind of have to get used to the geopolitics if you live in this region. If you if you start your day thinking everything's going to be perfect in this region, then you're going to end up being disappointed.
Yes.
Because if we go back a few years, then Russia was our biggest single contributor to the region. When we lost Russia in 2022, we lost about a third of our revenue. So it feels like the game Snakes and Ladders.
Yeah,
we're going to go up. And then suddenly we slip back. So we have over 80 countries in the region. And for us, it's about prioritization. We put them into groups and clusters.
Okay.
And obviously, South Africa and Southern Africa is one of the key components, along with Saudi Arabia, French-speaking Africa. We would say sort of rest of Middle East and the UAE and Turkey. They're our kind of main regions. Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. So you cover quite a big region, and share that vision. What is Epson's goal for this region that you cover? And it's a broad region, as you mentioned. And how does this all translate into operations here in Africa?
Yeah, good question. Actually, the Middle East Africa region is regularly mentioned in the company report. Epson's just brought out its vision called Engineered Future for 2035, and it name checks this region specifically for a couple of reasons. The first one is obviously its potential and its size, but actually it's a bit of a untapped potential here, because we only set up here properly about seven years ago. When I first started in 2018, I was still doing the role from London. I moved to Dubai a few months after. So honestly speaking, we're still actually in catch-up mode. And if we look at similar emerging markets to us, which would be Latin America and Southeast Asia, broadly similar GDP, they're more than double the size of us. So the potential for us is huge, just to capture the same market share and market size of other regions. And then on top of that, we allow ourselves the benefit of saying, okay, what would we do differently now that we're kind of in a startup position? And that answers your question about Africa.
Okay.
Because in Africa, what we've done is we've put a big office here in Johannesburg. So this is not just a commercial Southern African sales operation. It's actually a mid-back office shared service center for the whole of what we call Epson Middle East, which is this META-CWA, as you mentioned earlier. So we're tapping into this incredible potential of this continent. We have another office in Nairobi. We have another one in Casablanca in Morocco. We have a small office in Cape Town. So this is all about capturing the value of Africa, but also investing in Africa at the same time.
Yes, and of course, there's tremendous potential. I mean, I speak to a lot of different players in the ICT sector who are playing in Africa. The expansion of data centers, the cloud infrastructure. It's such an exciting continent to be part of and watch that growth. So as you continue to expand your footprint, What are your plans for Africa? You know, it's great to hear you've got those offices. You're quite broad. You've got Casablanca, you've got Nairobi, Cape Town, Johannesburg, all connected to the mothership and to Dubai and the region itself. But South Africa obviously is the big player right now in the market. You're driving incredible innovation in a competitive market. What are your plans for Africa?
Yeah, you're right. South Africa for us should be the biggest. We're actually a little bit behind here from where we should be compared to other markets. And I think that's, if I could sum it up, it's probably in the depth of our relationships. So the key thing for us, and really the reason for this office as well, is to broaden our approach with customers. Because I think traditionally in areas like South Africa, a lot of it is sell-in and expecting distributors, the channel themselves, to amplify the brand and the value proposition, which is great, but I think it only takes a brand so far, and then you get into price and trading and various things. And to be honest with you, I have to give some of our competition credit. You know, we have been, let's say, out traded by quite a lot of competition, but that's not really where we want to play. We want to play in investing in people, which is what we're doing here. So we've put a lot more feet on the ground here in South Africa in the last 6 to 12 months, and we will continue to do that. And their job is to engage with the channel, the IT channel, which, you know, there's a lot of small to medium-sized businesses in South Africa in quite remote locations. So we put people all over South Africa and the SADC as well, by the way, and then also visit end users. And at the same time, we've invested in this 550 square meter innovation center here in Johannesburg for really high quality demonstrations to the channel for training, so training the trainers to amplify the brand, but also end customers for proof of concept. And finally, and this is really important, key point here, is that we get the voice of the customer from this innovation center. And that voice of the customers goes back to the product planning team in Japan. And we spend over $300 million per year on research and development, and they're desperate for the voice of the customer. And we are giving them the voice of Southern Africa to say, okay, this is what our customer base needs. This is what they don't need. And if you build it for us, then they will come.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And you know, I mean, Epson's been in business for a long time. You're a trusted brand. I use your technology and I trust Epson. I know you spoke a lot about your competition, but I really believe that the innovation that you guys have deployed has come a long way. And this is my next question, is balancing innovation and sustainability, because sustainability is big across the world. And it's incredible, the strides. You know, been in the business long enough as you know, as I've been covering technology, to understand the value of sustainability and the value of innovation. Because I think you and I have been around for a long time to remember the people who said that printers are dead and paper is dead. It's all going to be digital, right? And yet today it's a sustainable business and running incredibly well with the innovation that's been deployed, and you're getting a lot more value out of the print runs. And this is happening globally and regionally. So that must be part of your strategy to balance the innovation and the sustainability.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this goes back to our core competency. So we've been in business since 1942. We started as a watchmaking business and we're not a classic Tokyo, Osaka company. We're actually in the middle of Japan, in Nagano Prefecture. It's a beautiful part of the world, near the ski area in the Alps of Japan. And the topology is very similar to Switzerland. It's around Suwa Lake. So the engineers that work for us, they live and breathe this incredible climate, this beautiful climate. And that really drives the product planning. So let's take Precision Core, which is our micro piezo technology. That's a cold printing technology. So what that does is it can reduce, because we don't use heat in the print process. There's no drum, there's no fuser, there's no exhaust gas, there's no dust from toner cartridge, blah, blah, blah. And it means that we can reduce the energy cost by up to and over 90%. Yeah. Oh. So I said 90, not 9. Yeah. So if you could write on a piece of paper what brand is perfect for load shedding that supply interruptions or even remote locations, you would write down Epson because we have the piezo technology, which, like I said, is around 90% or greater power consumption saving versus laser.
Yes.
But
Yes.
also we have this tank technology. So the EcoTank, let's call this the consumer and small business printer, because it isn't just a consumer printer. They have these bottles. So in the pack, you get 4 bottles, and that's the equivalent of 79 cartridges, 5 laser toner. So you think 79 fewer trips to the shop, let alone the 79 waste products. Also, it's much, much cheaper. Yeah. So everybody knows the cost of cartridges. So you multiply that by 79. So whatever it might be, whatever in Rand, but it can be $15, $20, $25 equivalent in Rand for the set of cartridges. So this is about having sustainability in mind. We also have processing like dry fiber technology, where you don't need water within the process. So we have like paper recycling machine called Paper Lab. And there's so many things. There's one of my real favorites. We have a company called Epson META-CWA, and they recycle parts from silicon wafer and other parts of manufacturing process. They move it into this amorphous dust, alloy dust, and then that gets redeployed back into the manufacturing chain, for example, in molding and various things, and 3D printing technology. So we're actually, we've even got biomass plants that we're building. So the reason why I'm saying this is that sustainability for us is not some marketing word. It's not a position. It's an actual fact. It's a technological fact that we can do this. And that's why for us to go hand in hand, productivity, sustainability.
That's amazing. And you know what? It runs in your DNA. When you describe the region that you operate from and where it all happens in Japan, I mean, it's got to reflect the culture and the surroundings as well. So that is embedded in your DNA. And as you mentioned, you've been around since the 1940s. But all this innovation, it costs millions of dollars annually. And I read your reports, and I was blown away by the amount of money that Epson spends on R&D annually. It's incredible, but you've got to do that to deliver what you've just spoken about. And that's just a few of the innovations which you spoke about just a second ago. But I mean, the innovation that blows my mind is what goes at the end of that inkjet, where the ink is going onto the paper, those tiny droplets. It still blows my mind today when I think about that gold film and what happens, the magic that happens there is amazing. But can you touch on some of those key milestones in Epson's innovation timeline? Because if you compare what you have today versus what you had 10 years ago, it's just leaps ahead in technology innovation.
Yeah, but I mean, the funny thing is, though, that it all comes from a core technology that's been with us for quite a significant period of time. So let's just take a couple of our key technologies. I'll talk about 3LCD on projection. But let's go back to that piezo, because yes, I mean, it's just this technology itself that compresses these millions, billions of inkjet dots that go onto the page, and that's why we don't have to heat it up. Because if you take other competitors on inkjet, they still have a thermal inkjet. We do it through this incredible technology, as you said, through the film. But this is one of Epson's core technologies. And going back to I mentioned about the $300 million plus per year that we spend, but also remember that this is our core technology that we own. So I've been to these manufacturing sites in Japan, both for the precision core print head, which also, for example, helps with digital printing for textile, for example. And again, there's a lot of waste water, as you know, in textile. So we've done a lot of improvements over the last few years in terms of replacing analog printing steps where you have to have plates with digital printing, where you can remove steps of the process that involve a lot of waste. So there's 2 good examples. We mentioned about the 3LCD technology. That is fantastic. We introduced laser as a light source, back in 2016. That replaced the standard lamp, which we still do, but obviously the majority, of our range now is laser. And that's
Yes.
another great evolution that we've done. And that's taken us from being well known as a kind of entry to business corporate projector manufacturer all the way up to the high brightness, the really interesting rental and staging and digital museums, etc., immersive art, that we've got to number one, whereas previously we didn't even register on the scale. With EcoTank, we've sold over 120 million EcoTank worldwide.
Wow.
And what's, yeah, really amazing. We announced 100 million a little while back. And actually now we probably need to do it, update it to 120. And just to answer quickly your question around how does the technology evolve? So what we're doing is we're taking that technology now into the business workplace. So all of the competitive advantages I mentioned regarding the energy cost, regarding the bottles being much, much cheaper than the cost. I mean, it really is hundreds and hundreds of dollars saving over a 3-year period. We've taken that into the business context. So we have a lot now of partners in South Africa and Africa itself that have our office automation products and business up to 100 pages per minute in office automation, our scanning technology, for example. All of these are market leading using this evolution in technology that we have and making the same savings. So you've got businesses now that have swapped out the laser fleet for the Epson piezo precision core, and they're recognizing huge savings. And also, let's say if you're a mine somewhere, you're one of those remote mining locations, we have the tank technology in our big office automated printers. So you've got tens of thousands of prints before you have to start changing cartridges. So this is the other advantage of owning the technology. We can then evolve the technology based on the insights of the customers and then build for them, as I mentioned before, and then obviously capture the value.
So, I was just thinking, because I use your technology, and these printers just go on and on and on, and you get that output and the cost per page. Because I've got a couple of small businesses, so I've deployed them across every business, and they're wonderful. And I thought to myself the other day, there was a time where everybody thought that printers were going to be disposable, right? So as soon as this cartridge finishes, you chuck it away, and it's just a terrible way of looking at the environment, right? Because that's not sustainable at all. But your printers just go on and on and on, and yet you've got a great business model that makes great money doing this, despite the fact that they go on and on, and you just replace the bottles, you're still getting the same production. And the amazing thing is that they never clog up, which is also incredible. That piezo technology you speak about is really quite impressive. Today, you're here in South Africa this week, and today you guys launched some very interesting innovations. You made some interesting announcements. What does this launch symbolize for Epson?
Yes, it's really just picking up actually on what you were saying, that as the technology evolves and improves, then we've managed to solve a lot of these customer problems that existed several years ago. And you gave some really good examples of them. What this is talking about, so let's talk about there's two things we launched today. We launched the Live Studio projectors, I'll come on to afterwards, but we can talk about the print range. And one of the key features of the print range, there's an improvement in speed, quite a significant improvement in speed, particularly around color speed. But also there's a reduction in size. So some of the new printers are over 20% smaller footprint. As much as we would love to think a printer is a lifestyle product, it's probably something that is nice it has to look nice, it has to look contemporary, but it doesn't want to dominate anything because ultimately it is a printer. So that's why we've reduced the size, we've increased the efficiency. Obviously, there's lots of extra features. We've got an improved smart panel app. So, it's a kind of like things listening to customers about, right, how do we make it even easier to interact with my phone, Apple Print, those kind of things. And then the Live Studio projectors are phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. So there's a range of printers just starting from a few $100s with the Bose speakers, and the speaker quality is fantastic. So It's got everything from, you can connect to the speaker and it's just a speaker. You can obviously have it as a fantastic projector with the 3 LCD, either in 1080p or in 4K. Or you can even have ultra short throw, which sits on your, it can be anything like a table or even your chest of drawers in your bedroom, and it'll have up to 150 inches. And 150 inches, just to remind ourselves to the non-tech audience, is 4 times the size of 75 inches because it's square.
That's
right?
massive.
Right. And so everybody thinks it's great to have like an 80-inch TV. Well, actually, for under $1,000, you can get like almost 4 times the size of an 80-inch TV. Yeah. And then you can move it around. You can even pivot it up and put it on the ceiling. So you got your kids, you want to sit with your kids at night, you want to put the stars, an image of the stars up, the Milky Way. It's part of our marketing. You see the Milky Way on the screen. You can touch the colors. It has different lighting depending on your moods. Your ambient lighting can change. So this is a really, really nice kind of lifestyle product. And the design of it is really futuristic. It has bows. So these are the sort of 2 main product ranges. I want to go back to print because obviously for print, it's a bigger revenue for us. And we've got some really interesting Soho SMB printers at the same time with enhancements and features. But it's all about a kind of, if you look at them as well, very nice aesthetics behind them too. So this is what we're here to do. We presented it to the media yesterday, to the channel. And then our job, of course, is to launch it over the next few months successfully.
Amazing. And are we going to the relationship with Bose, is that fairly new? Because it's great that you've got that quality audio to match the quality visuals as well.
Yeah. A previous generation had Yamaha in the ultra short throw option, the LS. And now we've gone to Bose, and it's very significant because I'm a great believer in core competency.
Yes.
I mentioned it earlier. Epson's very, very good at visual technology, and the speakers in our projectors are absolutely fine, but they're not Bose. So why not have core value creation and get the best of both worlds?
Yes.
So have the best visual technology with Epson 3 LCD, and then put it together with a fantastic sound from Bose. And I was listening to the sound yesterday in our demonstration facility, and it really outstanding sound quality. And you pay more or the same for Sonos speakers as you would for our projector, including Bose speakers. So
Sure.
it's actually priced really well.
That's impressive. And I love the size. I mean, I was just thinking of how massive it is. You could actually start creating a culture of movie Fridays in the office. And talking of corporate culture, what is that corporate culture like at Epson in the META-CWA region? I imagine that it must be different because, you know, it's a different region altogether, you know, versus what you'd find in North America or Europe, for example. Is the culture different? I guess that the DNA at Epson is all the same, but there must be differences. And how do you actually entrench this with multiple offices? Because I guess the people in South Africa versus the people in Dubai or in Saudi Arabia, it's all different kind of cultures that you've got. You've got a real what's the word I'm looking for? A real variety of cultures in your portfolio.
Could almost say melting pot.
Melting pot, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a great question. We've been quite fortunate that what we've done is we've been able to, so we separated from Europe to become an independent standalone region directly to Japan just over 18 months ago. The main change was that the back office, mid office that was previously the UK and the Netherlands, we had to recruit people here. So what that allowed us to do, was to create a startup culture. So this morning we've done our internal kickoff, and all the presentations were great because I know they'll probably watch this podcast. But I have to say, what great presentations we got from the graduates. So we have a graduate scheme here in South Africa, and they sat on the stage, and these graduates were incredible, so confident given their age. And if I give you a couple of statistics, the average age of our company, we've got about 350 people, is under 40. The gender balance is pretty much 50-50. It's about 52-48. And the leadership group is also 50-50. So you don't get that tapering off, but you get lots of females at the entry part of the organization, but then it tears off and the old boys get all the jobs. So we've really tried to reflect back the society, which is why we did this graduate program in South Africa and why we really believe in South Africa. South Africa is one of our future options to really focus on even more management roles. We said to the team today, you're all local people, you're a very young organization, even younger. The average age in this office is much younger than 39. And we want you to be successful without having to move. So we've created this kind of startup culture. It's like an open door thing. It's like challenge, be curious, all these things that you want people. Don't just sit in your box. If you see something that you think's inefficient, flag it up and tell us. We'll be as agile as we can. We're not hierarchical. We believe in you and we respect you as well. And we respect your point of view. And if you're good enough, it doesn't matter your age, you'll get more responsibility. This is the culture that we have. And I think it does go against a little bit the trends of the IT industry and others. We have to be careful because other regions globally have a legacy, of course. This is history. We've been able to start. So it's very much not about what others are not doing. It's much more about what we are doing because we've been able to start from a different position. But we're really proud of where we are and who we are. And we just want that culture to develop more and more. And just to finish, I think for a brand like Epson to have an international office in South Africa, I hope it sends a really great message to this country, which is that we believe in you. We think you've got some incredibly talented people, well-educated, bright, enthusiastic, and ambitious. And we want to capture that ambition, and we want to help you grow within this company. And ultimately, that will also help South Africa itself.
Absolutely wonderful, wonderful message. Neil, thank you so much for your time and sharing those insights and just coming, what you said really came from the heart, and it's that's what it's about, investing in the country and of course the infrastructure, the support, all of these things are so important, but believing in the people talks a lot about the company and the culture that you have at Epson. So Neil Colquhoun, the president of Epson in the META-CWA Asia region. Neil, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I'm glad we didn't talk about rugby and the Scotland versus the Springboks, but that's going to be coming up in the future. There are going to be some bruising encounters there, but it's a game and it's a wonderful game. And good luck to your team, Scotland and Sunderland, of course, going forward.
Yes.
Thank you for your time. And it's wonderful to hear Epson growing so much and believing in the continent and the region. So thank you for your time.
It's a pleasure. Thank you as well. Thank you for having me.